trip with this, I'm sorry. Okay, hello, ladies. Uh, hello. I am really, really excited to be here today at this wonderful event. This is beautiful offices in beautiful San Francisco. I am so thankful to be able to share some knowledge with you about something that I've been really interested in lately, and that is the main role of animations in user interfaces. But before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. Okay. My name is Vanessa Alvarez. I am from Colombia. And as you can see, I am a proud dog mom. I am on LinkedIn as Vanessa Alvarez and on Medium as Alvarez Vanessa. I am also a front-end developer for Alchemy Technology. We are a company based in Plano, Texas, and what we do is we build digital banking solutions for credit unions and financial institutions. But before being a developer, I used to be a graphic designer. And one of the things that really caught my attention into front-end development was animations. I'm a visual person, so when I found a whole world about animations out there, I was so excited, and I wanted to learn all the front-end technologies that I could in order for me to build an animation. And I found so many inspirational developers out there, like Sarah Drasner. And for those who doesn't know who Sarah is, she is an engineer. She works at Microsoft, and she's very well known in the community because of her work with SVG animations. And when I saw her work, I was just so amazed by it. She's such an inspiration. And I immediately asked myself, how? How can I build something like that? And how can I recreate that? And so I did. I jumped in and I built my first SVG animation ever, which is the one that you can see at the screen. Nothing like Sarah's, but it was a start. And then I got excited. And then I started adding animations everywhere in my projects. And then now that I look back, I never really stopped. And I never asked myself, why? Why am I building this animation? And what is really the purpose that I'm getting from this animation? And this is exactly what I want to focus on my talk today. We're going to focus on the whys and not the hows. Because I started realizing that there's not enough animations out there in the web. And there is a pattern that they are actually the low-hanging fruit of projects. And there's actually a big community out there of people that are against animations. So I noticed the bad reputation. Because some people think it's just not worth the time, or just not worth the resources, or they just leave it at the last minute when it's too late. And other people just use it improperly without a true purpose. Like in this example, as the user is scrolling, every single element, I think, on this page has an animation. So it's heavily overused. You don't know where to focus on, where to pay attention, and this is why, one reason why animations have a bad reputation. And another reason is because of evil purposes like wiggle banners or pop-up models, because they are annoying. And you know, you're trying to read an interesting article on a website, but you get a wiggle banner shaking on the side, calling your attention, right? Or if it's the first time you're visiting a website, and you get a pop-up model immediately into your screen, asking you for your personal information, like an email, or your zip code, like they have no shame on their game. Like, at least get me a gin and tonic first before asking me my personal information. Again, another reason why animations have such a bad reputation. And other people just think it's just a nice to have. And at the beginning of my development career, I was actually part of this team that everyone in the team, including me, we thought that animations was just the cherry on top. You know, it was just a nice to have. Because we were really focusing on getting functionality first. And then, you know, we will worry about like the decorations later. We don't have to worry about that now. So the result of that was that we never got a chance to build a single animation in the entire project. So, okay, I started seeing the bad reputations that animations can have, but I started thinking that there's got to be more than that. And there's got to be some people that do believe in them. And I found them. I found a small community that do believe in animations, and I found the answers to my whys. So I read these books, Animation at Work by Rachel Nabors and Designing Interface Animation by Valhead, which I recommend you to read. And I've distilled and I've gathered all this information, and this is why I'm here today, because I want to share with all of you. My goal is that to show you the importance and the main role of animations in user interfaces. My intention is that you all walk away today having a new perspective about them. And I really want you to take out the word animations out of the category of being just simply decorations. Because it can be more than that. And it can bring so many benefits to your users. And I'm going to explain each one of those benefits to you. And I'm going to drink some water. Hold on. And I'm going to explain each one of those benefits to you. And the first one is that it can help reducing cognitive load. So the best way to reduce cognitive load to our users is by connecting elements. Because elements that suddenly pop into your screen like a pop-up model, what is happening is that it's creating a reset into our brain. Our brain is asking themselves, where did this come from and what did just happen? Because the elements in real life just don't pop, or elements in real life just doesn't have a drastically cut disappearing. Because in real life, when a car needs to go from point A to point B, we need to see it translate and we need to see that moving. In real life, a car doesn't have a hard cut disappearing from point A and appearing suddenly on point B. And this is something interesting that I found at the Animation at Work book by Rachel Nabors, was that our brain is trained for this type of hard cuts in movies. And I'm sure we've all seen movies in here, but this is just a visual reminder of what I'm talking about. So here we have a conversation happening between two people. So you see, in those in-between states, you get these hard cuts happening. It's kind of like a ping pong. We are trained for these hard cuts because we see the connection happening between these two people having a conversation, even if the camera is just like showing one person. And our brain is trained for these type of hard cuts in movies, but they are not on web. And I'm going to explain that with this example. So here we have a drop-down with no transition. And I want you to pay close attention. Once the user is going to click on this drop-down, the list of options are going to appear suddenly into the screen. Once the user selects an option, it's going to have a drastic cut disappearing. So the user is going to click on it, list of options appear, selects one, drastically disappear. So what is happening is that the user is asking themselves, what did just happen? Because these two elements seem really disconnected between each other. And this is actually a distraction that we're giving to our users from the main content or the main task that we want them to do. So what is happening is that our brain is building these in-between states to find a connection between those two elements. So probably all of us in this room have already adapted to these type of scenarios because we work with these kind of components every day. But we have to keep in mind that we need to be thoughtful for new users, incapacitated users, and casual users. So what we're doing to them is that we are increasing their cognitive load. But fortunately, animations can help. And this is the same example of that drop-down. But with a little bit of help of CSS and a transition, the experience is going to be much more positive. So again, I want you to pay attention to this drop-down right here. Once the user is going to click on it, the list of options are going to come nicely coming from the drop-down. Once the user selects one, it's going to come back. The user clicks on it, comes nicely, selects one, and comes back. So something as simple as this, we are helping the user finding a connection between those two elements. And thanks to this continuity, we are reducing their cognitive load. So the user can really focus on the main task or the main contact that we want them to. And this is a simple example. This one is much more of an elaborate example, and it's a contact form, and it's a code pen from Sarah Drasner. And I want you to pay attention to this location pin. Once the user is going to click on it, it changes its shape into a box. There's a contact information, clicks on the contact button turns into the title for the input, the user inputs their email, clicks submit, the submit button turns into a loader, the loader then turns into a success icon, and once the user is going to close the box, it's going to morph the shape back to be the location pin. So I love how Sarah, in this case, is connecting elements, and it's kind of like building a timeline to the user. Imagine if I think the experience will be much more different. Instead of getting this continuity, imagine if the user clicks on the location pin and you will get a pop-up model. It will be much more different. And there has been studies that says that animations reduce cognitive load for problem-solving tasks. And at the University of New Mexico, they made a study that students learning a specific skill using animations outperformed other students that didn't. And they also reported lower levels of cognitive load. So you may be thinking that with the examples that I just showed you, that without the animation, they all will still work. Sure, functionality will always be there. But what we're doing to them is that we are increasing their cognitive load. Because we as humans, we're trying to build those in-between states. We're trying to fill the gaps of why or how an element changed its shape, color, or location. I'm going to drink some water again. Animation can also benefit the users by giving feedback. And feedback is really important because it keeps the conversation happening between the interface and the user. And a good example of this are loaders. Because loaders are pretty much letting us know, like, okay, I know that you requested some data, and I'm going to go ahead and get it, but in the meantime, you got to wait. And here we have an example of a generic loader. We've seen it around, right? It's the most useful everywhere. And I think at this point, I found it dreadful, boring. And I also feel like if the wait is long and I get this generic loader, I feel like I should close the application because something went wrong. So instead of using these generic loaders, I would recommend you to have customized loaders. And this is an example from Hopper. Hopper is a company that helps you to find the best deals for hotels and flights. And what is happening right here in this situation, I was looking for the best deals for hotels in Japan. And I love how they use their playful, like the logo, and they use it playfully for the loader of the bunny hopping and running. So it's making my situation less stressful of finding the best deal for hotels in Japan. And I feel like when I get these customized loaders, you can sit back, relax, and wait. This is an example from Duolingo. And what is happening right here, I was actually changing the language from Spanish to German. And again, they're using their own logo of the owl singing and dancing, and with a little bit of a quote saying that brush up on your high Valyrian before Game of Thrones returns. So it's kind of having a conversation to me, kind of like letting me know, hey, I know you want to go and learn some German, but hey, don't forget to practice your Valyrian before Game of Thrones. And Widget actually is a company that made an experiment on how long where users were more willing to wait if either customized loaders or generic loaders. And the results came back with that users were more willing to wait on a customized loader And it also had a lower dropout time on the application. So this is a little bit of investment that eventually is going to pay off to your users and your company. Because I don't know how you feel like. When I get these customized loaders, I feel like I don't mind the waiting or I don't feel the waiting. This is another example of like we've seen it around this pattern of loaders and our placeholders. And it's kind of having a conversation to the user. Okay, I'm going to go and get this data from you, all your information, and I'm going to display it in these areas. So it's giving me a location. Where is my data going to be displayed? This one is from material design. And again, they're using the same placeholders, but I love how they're gradually starting to display each item. So it's kind of like also making the waiting going much more faster. And Slack actually uses both. They use customized loaders, and they also use placeholders. So you get greeted by their playful logo of the customized loader. And then later, you get the placeholder right here and a quote, kind of like Duolingo. And then later, I get all my chats. We also have to keep in mind that we need to give to the user negative feedback. And negative feedback is really important because we need to let the user know when they did something wrong on their part. And in this example from material design, as the user is inputting their PIN wrong, you get this animation of a heart shake. And it's almost simulating kind of like the situation when you shake your head no. So it's kind of having a conversation to the user like, hey, no, you did something wrong. Go ahead and fix it so I can help you. This is the same pattern of that heart shake of a no. And I love how it highlights the places that the user should go and fix that. So we have to remember that good feedback keeps the conversation happening between the interface and the user. And it's making the waiting less stressful, and it's letting the user know when something went wrong on their part. Another reason, and I think the number one reason why we use animations, is for attracting attention. And we have to be thoughtful to use it right. Because like they say, and I know it sounds cliche, with great power comes great responsibility, but it's true. We have to pair animations with important content that the user is going to care about. And this is an example from Pillow. And Pillow is an application that it tracks my sleep quality and my sleep time. So the first thing that I do when I open my eyes in the morning, I open the application because I'm interested to know how much time did I slept, and I get greeted in the dashboard by this animation right here. So it's directing my attention to the content that I care about. I just care about knowing my sleep time and my sleep quality. We've seen this from CodePen, and this is attracting attention for the benefit of the user. Because as I am working on my code and I haven't saved anything, in the side right here, we get this shake of this save button, attracting my attention specific to something that it's important to me. Because as a developer, I don't want to lose my changes. So it's used for my own good. This one is one of my favorites, and it's from material design. And I love how it attracts attention with motion. And as the user is adding the succulent plants into the shopping cart, I love how it guides my eyes directly to the shopping cart. It's reassuring me that yes, indeed, your item, it's in the cart. And it almost feels like it's more human. It feels like the user actually grabbed the item and put it in the shopping cart. So we got to remember that we can use animations by attracting attention, but we have to be thoughtful to direct attention to the important content. We can also, with animation, demonstrate. And I mean by demonstrating is that it can show us how to navigate an application or a website if it's the first time a user is using it, or how to use a product or a new onboarding feature. So as a user, it helps us to feel more familiar when the moment that we're going to use the application. And this is an example from Bird. And Bird is an application that have those scooters around the cities. And their onboarding on how to use the scooter, it's beautifully done. So it's showing me with animations on how to scan my phone to the scooter. Once it gets approved, I should use a helmet because safety first. It's showing me how to start the scooter. Showing me the throttle button on my right side. Even how to place my feet in the scooter, on the scooter. Which lanes should I ride? How to brake on the left? And where should I not be parking the scooter? This one is a new onboard feature from Venmo. And they had this a new Venmo card that I could apply for it. And it's showing me with animations all the benefits that I get using my Venmo card. Like I could use it everywhere. I could split bills with my friends. If I lose my card, I can freeze it. Then unfreeze it. And I could pick the color of my card. So thanks to animation, we get the benefit of demonstrating and conveying a lot of information in a short amount of time. Imagine with words, say, like describing all the how to use the scooter. I don't think any user will read that chunk of like words. And lastly, with animations, we get to express our brand. And when we think about expressing our brand, we usually think about the typical, like font family or colors or iconography. So companies really don't relate expressing their brand with animations. But companies have expressed their brand with animations and motion, like commercials or TV bumpers. So you get the opportunity to reveal the mood, show personality, and tell the story of your brand. And if you don't know how to like describe the brand of your company, start thinking about adjectives. They can help. And ask yourself if it's your brand energetic, it could be bouncy animations. If it's more calm, it could be blur, pulsating animations. If it's decisive and sure, it could be easy and outs. And if you do already have animations on your project and you're like wondering, okay, I don't know if they are expressing the mood of our brand, just go through an audit and involve everyone. Involve the designers, involve the developers, and go through each single animation of your project. And at the end, ask yourself, does this reveal the mood of our brand? And if it does, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, the good thing about animations is that with some changes of timing and easings can make a huge impact. And as always, don't forget to build guidelines, because by setting up global guidelines, what you're doing is you're creating consistency throughout your interface. And developers will benefit from it, because we all know that we love to copy and paste. This is an excellent example on expressing their brand with animations. And as the user is typing, the Jedi follows with his head. Once you type the password, covers his eyes. And then when you toggle show password, he picks. So it's reflecting a fun brand right here. This one, I just added this like last minute and loved it. So in this example that I found in Copen, I love how like with cuteness, it's like making the unsubscribe situation like fun, because we all hate emails, but and we want to unsubscribe from all of them. But the way they did it, it's amazing. So if the user is going to hover over on the cancel button, this is what happens. It gets happy. They unsubscribe, he gets sad and he shakes. Happy. You don't have to cancel. Yeah, unsubscribe. He's really sad. I'm really bummed. So, okay, you may be thinking, my brand is not cute, it's not fun. What should I do? Like, how can I express the brand then? Like I said, easings and timings can make a huge difference. And this is an example from Cash App. And Cash App is an application right here that I was trying to transfer money into my bank account. So the moment that I'm going to press instant to transfer my money, I'm going to get a loader. And after the loader, I'm going to get this quick easing animation of a thunderbolt. So I'm going to press, get the loader, light bulb really quick. It's telling me that my money has been deposited into my bank account. So what is happening right here is like letting me, as a user, as a human, we get stressed when like an application like handles money. So it's making me feel secure that I could trust my money with them. By having this quick animation telling me like, hey, you're gonna get your money really fast into your bank account, it's making me feel like I could trust them and that they handle my money really quick. This one is from Medium, and I love how Medium has built a community that between bloggers, they all support each other. And love the fact that instead of using the typical likes or like Facebook or like the typical hearts like Instagram, they opt to use claps. And I love this animation because it makes it feel more personal. Like I feel like it's, again, feels human. Like when a coworker did a great job, you feel like clapping to them, like, hey, great job on that. And it feels like a live action. And I love how they have expressed that into their brand. That between, again, bloggers, they all support each other. Also, your company website is the perfect, better example to express your brand with animations because it can tell the story of your company's mission and vision. And this one is an example of a digital agency. And as you can see in this example, it shows creativity and it shows their personality. And I love how, like, with animations, they start showing their projects that they've been worked for, they have been worked before. And it's actually attracting attention in a good way because it potential could attract attention to prospective clients. Okay, so now you know all the main benefits that we get from animations. It reduces cognitive load. It maintains the conversation happening between the user and the interface. It can draw attention. It can educate you on how to use an application. And we get to express our brand. And hopefully with these examples, I got you all excited and you want to implement animations into your work at your job. But the question is, how could you get everyone on board? And it's hard, I'm not gonna lie. But it's about communication. And it starts with you. And I'm not saying that you should be the point person, the animation girl or the animation guy, but it starts by spreading the love and communicate with each other. Maybe, perhaps, if you're a designer and if you need an animation to show to someone, ask help from a front-end developer, and I'm sure they can build you a prototype. If you are a UX researcher and you need an animation to show to someone, just ask a designer and they can help you to build an animation with After Effects. And, excuse me. And actually, at the company that I work at Alchemy, we, as a team, the designers and the front-end developers, we have worked together to build our design system library, which is the one you can see at the screen. It's called Iris. And we've started building components. And with these components, we have added like these micro interactions that have made a huge impact into our interface. Because you could be thinking, okay, components doesn't have a big impact. Yes, they do, because they are going to be reused everywhere in your application. So it has made a big difference for us. This one, actually, this happened recently. So I get this design right here by the designer. And like I said, we build financial platforms for credit unions. So I get this account component from the designer. And he said, okay, whenever the user is going to click on it, I wanted to get this gradient border around. And as I am working with this, my click handler works perfectly, it's fine. But I started thinking, I'm like, this there's something, it feels like it needs a transition. Because again, what was happening was getting that drastic cut that I was talking about, right? And I'm like, I don't like that, I don't know. So I reach out to the designer and I'm like, hey, what do you think that the moment that the user is gonna click on this, it's gonna get a transition? He loved the idea. And it was something that he wasn't thinking about at the moment he was designing this. And he loved it. He immediately sent me prototypes. And this was the result of it. The user clicks, and it gets a transition. So as I was building this, that was another thing. I was involving other coworkers, other front-end developers, and we were getting into it. And this is an account component, and we use it everywhere in our application. So again, it's making a huge impact. Those low-hanging fruit, eventually become big wins. So again, communicate between each other. Let everyone involved, and don't build barriers. And as always, as you are building your animations, always, always keep in mind accessibility. Because as much as we like and love our animations, not everyone gets to experience it the same way. Animations can make people have seizures or feel dizzy. And by just giving them the power and the option to turn on and off the animations, you are making a huge impact for those who suffer from the vestibular disorder or from epilepsy. And this is an example from Halo. And the user gets to toggle on and off the animations on the website. And as always, don't forget to add the correct ARIA attributes, roles, and titles to your code. So to wrap it up, you all should know now that all the benefits and the main role of animations in user interfaces is really to help the users. So while you're building your animation, I encourage you to ask yourself, does my animation have a purpose? How is my animation benefiting my user? Is my animation annoying? Because something that looks good the first time may not be the 5th time the user is doing it. And if I'm making my user nauseous, is it accessible? So hopefully you all leave here today with a new perception about animations. That animations are not only the decorations, not only the cherry on top. It's part of the whole process. And by building meaningful and useful animations, we can all wash away the bad reputation that it has. Thank you.
There we go. You have another mic right here. Do we have any questions for our speaker?
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you. That was really great. I'm wondering, because you did highlight a pain point that I'm seeing at the startup that I'm working at right now, which is getting people to be on board with some of your ideas. And I feel like I'm toggling between web design and front end, and kind of working with different people, designers and other software engineers. So how do you bring people to see your vision? Does it take actually creating it yourself and then saying, look and see, or what does that take?
I've had 2 situations happening. I've had, like I said, with the example that I just showed you with when the designer gave me his design, and I just asked for it. I was like, what do you think? I think it would be better having a transition. This will make a big impact. And I've also had the situation that add a transition without the designer really taking a look at it. But it's funny because like it happened to me as well. I was building a component for our library, and I felt like it needed a transition, and I built it as the designer wanted it. And then it actually, I feel like we started having the conversation like, I don't know, this kind of like feels like it needs something. And she was like, oh yeah, do you think better like with a transition that will make it bigger? I'm like, well, now that you say it, I just have it right here. And she's like, oh my God, yeah, so much better, love it. And right away it happens. But the experiences that I have, yes, it's something so small by just like letting them like, hey, what do you think about this? Should we add this or not? What are your thoughts? Designers love motion, and I think they will be really, really okay with that. I don't know. Yeah.
Anybody else?
2 questions. One, are you able to share your slides with us?
I do have it on Medium. My Medium is, let me go. Sorry. I am as Alvarez Vanessa, and it's right here. I do have it on a Medium. I just posted an article about it, and it's right here, Alvarez Vanessa. It's an article that I have about my presentation. So yeah, they're right there.
Okay.
I don't know if are we sharing it anywhere else, like a Slack channel or something? Oh, okay. Then I'll share it there too.
And the second thing is, what tools are you using to build your animations?
So as a front-end developer, I built it just like with JavaScript and CSS. But I know designers will use another tools. But in my case, I just use the code.
Thank you.
Other than CodePen, do you have any favorite sites for animation inspiration?
Dribble, CodePen. I do have this. So on Google Chrome, it's actually a tool that maybe if I found my mouse, there you go. It's actually a tool. I don't know if I can show you. So it's called Muesli. And this is disappearing. Didn't, okay. So it's actually I don't know if you can see it. But it's actually Muesli, and Muesli, whenever you open Google Chrome, you get to see like different websites from design or front-end development. So I have like CSS awards or Behance. What else do I have? I can't remember, but let me see. I lost it. Completely lost it. Jesus. I am terrible at computers. Hold on. There you go. Let's mirror it so it could be better. So yeah, mostly. And right here, so I get Dribble, Designer News, Awards, Envision, Smashing, CSS Winner, all this. So it gives you a bunch, like examples that you actually get here, and just look for the website, and then usually like heavy on animations, and then yeah, you get to see a lot of examples. See? Ooh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're all out of time, but please give it up for our speaker, Vanessa.